Next up, and this one's going to be a little interesting. This one's going to lead into actually a segment that Black Maze is going to do. I'm going to play you 3 clips of them talking about Planet Tech this week. And then Black Maze is going to have a little talk of his own about Planet Tech. So let's hear what they have to say first.
Someone's asked, is the Planet Tech works as intended? So if you're asking, is it working as intended? No, and there's multiple levels for that, okay? And I don't want to go in and overstep my mark with Dev. I think we've cleared this up. There's some issues around graphical issues that are compounding other issues. So there's a huge sphere around unintentional puns today, Zach. It's like bingo. There's a lot
I didn't even clock that one.
Stuff at work here with Planetary Deck. It's not just about a button you press. And also, I want players to understand that you're seeing things that shouldn't be displayed the way they should be displayed. There are clearly graphical errors that are being remedied and fixed every single update. So we want to get to update 5 and see how that works. And then we'll take a look at the bigger picture. I think it's a fair comment. And I do think it's one of the things we didn't stress enough, which comes down to poor communication on our part. It's just explaining that when that button was pressed, just the impact that would have. And I don't think we stressed that. Now, I know we said it, but this is saying it and saying it, right? And I don't think we said it enough when we were like, look, this is what happened when the planets will change. It was more like it was a response to a question. And that's poor form, and I'll take it on the chin. I'm not going to make excuses because people aren't here for excuses. It's just accepting and moving on. There are bugs and errors that are making these planets look far worse than they should look like. And hopefully we'll get those fully ironed out before update 5 comes in later on in June. But again, it's one of those things where if at the end of it all, we sit down and we go like, right, we've done all we can do. We've got it in. It is working as it is. But, and again, forgive me, I'm talking layman's terms when I do this. But if we look at the end of this and we say, right, we've got it all in. This is how we think it's working. We will look and we will see how the community reacts to all the planets that people find in Odyssey. Now, I wanted to stress here, I'm not ignoring people saying they can't find these planets, or I'm not saying like they're wrong. What I'm saying is it's been 2 weeks and 2 days since Odyssey's come out. So give it some time. And if at the end of that we think, no, this just isn't good enough, we need to get this better, then potentially we could look at redoing all the geometry stuff, potentially. But that is no way an easy thing. And this is what going back to my previous question, when players say, oh, just push the button, it doesn't work that way. You can't just go in there and redo the galaxy. I know I joke about it on stream with K pressing his big red button, but it really isn't as easy as that. I would just say we're looking at it, we're investigating what players are finding, and if it turns out to be this huge issue, then of course we'll address it.
All right, so that's Art saying flat out, the Planet Tech is not working the way it's supposed to. There are bugs, but not getting into details. So it may be that there are bugs, but there are also past that sort of design philosophy problems with what they did with the Planet Tech. And he says that we should have the Planet Tech working by the end of the month of June as we want it. After that, after patch 5, if people see it working as intended and they still have a problem with it, well, that's going to be a serious issue. But he did not rule out, he said that, it would be possible at that point that they would revisit making some kind of further adjustment to it. Now, does anybody have anything on this before Black Maze hops into his piece on the Planet Tech? All right, go ahead, Tweet.
Yeah, I thought on one hand it was good that he acknowledged that it wasn't working properly, but he kind of spoke out of the other side of his mouth too when he said, well, it's only been running for 2 weeks and 2 days now, so not everybody's found the good shit out there yet. So I thought that was kind of an odd thing for him to say, but it was good to hear that they're acknowledging the Planet Tech is broken on multiple levels. So hopefully, I think it's kind of a naive or maybe a cute thing to think that they're going to have it mostly done by the end of June. I'd be surprised if they could get that fixed that quickly, but here's hoping.
Boss Lady.
It is very refreshing to hear them admit that it is not working correctly, and I'm looking forward to Black Maze's talk on this, because I think he's going to echo anything that I could say.
Yeah, as for me, I'm going to hold off on judging it until I see after when they say like, okay, it's all working properly now, bugs are gone. I'm going to hold off on that till my final judgment. But I will say this. While he said there are clearly bugs that are making it worse, they didn't say, but the underlying whatever is this or that or the other. Like, he could have gotten into more details to say what are bugs and what are features, and he specifically chose not to, or just did not for whatever reason. So having said all of that, while I'm withholding my judgment, I am a little suspicious and a little wary about where this is going. And with that, Black Maze.
Yeah, well, I'll talk for a bit, but honestly, you guys are putting the pressure on here. I mean, I didn't like prepare like a proper rant for this, but first I had a question because I heard Arthur again. I'm listening to this communication from Arthur in the Elite Week stream about the live stream from FDev. So that communication is complete news to me as well. And some of the shit that I have been bitching about and was about to bitch about, and I guess I still will, is in relation to the fact that there is no communication. So again, hearing this now on their stream, I'm like, dude, I've created 2 forum posts that have blown up with 30,000 views or 100,000 views. What is it? Thousands of pages by now, or 100 pages. And I don't know. It's got so many replies with people posting examples. Why is there not a single community manager that has gone in there and said, guys, we're aware of this. Don't worry. We're checking it out. Why is that only happening on the bloody stream? That confuses me to no end, because I'm sitting here raging, wondering, like, are you going to acknowledge this? And then they do on a stream, and I wasn't even aware about it.
Yeah.
So that's the first point that just confuses me.
Fair enough. I guess they just really want you to watch Elite Week. I don't know what else to say. It's bad. At this point.
That's cool. No, that's cool. So in very quick in summary, I've been talking about
Dear
planetary
Dr.
tech since the
K-Ross.
start. In
I'll be
alpha,
honest
it
and
was
tell
a
you at the
little
moment.
bit vague because we could only see so many planets. In the beginning, we only had Apex, so everything you saw was in approach from Apex or on foot with your own ship. It was a bit vague. We didn't know. And then when we did raise concerns, obviously the main message was, this is an alpha branch. There's stuff from the planetary tech that isn't in there. And that's all been reiterated, and that was clear, and we waited. And then obviously there was the launch, and it was a bit of a shocker. And I did... initially, I made a video with some surprises, and then I put it on the forum, and there was lots of talk there about other people with other examples that were even more blatant than the ones that I found. And I guess, to preface any criticism, Elite really is my mojo. I play it because I love it. I love exploring, mining, racing, driving, all of it. And then we have Odyssey, the DLC, and it kind of broke the planets. Again, most people know about it by now, but I guess what I should say about it in summary is that all of the planets are tiling, in case people aren't aware of the issue. So you'll have one planetary feature that you see on a planet, and then if you follow the band around the planet, you'll see all those same features repeating, which was a shock. And by now we know, especially with Arthur's message there, even though it wasn't specific, that is probably a bug and will get fixed. A bigger shocker, though, is today or yesterday we found out that there are planetary features, like imagine a canyon ridge in a certain shape, that you can find on one planet, and you will find exactly the same canyon set on a different planet. And I think this was a big fear that lots of people had. We had Dr. K-Ross come onto one of the live streams, of course, during the alpha, I think, talking about planetary tech. And she mentioned that they went from a Horizons mathematical system that generated canyons to a system that uses, let's say, handcrafted pieces, and then there is this complex system that will place these across the planet in a logical way. And I was like, oh boy, how is that going to work? Like, I get it, but how are you going to randomize that enough that it becomes unrecognizable. And certainly they have failed. So there was someone on the forum that posted a picture literally with two planets that weren't anywhere near each other. I mean, it doesn't matter if they were, but they had the exact same canyon ridge. And that was a big shocker for me. So I made I guess you're going to show the video I gave you, right?
Absolutely. As soon as you're done.
Yeah, cool, man. So
the picture's
I
up
did,
on screen.
So here's the thing. If I raise a concern and I see that there are so many people, so many other people also raising that same concern, of course, there's lots of people saying like, dude, there are some gorgeous Odyssey planets out there. And I agree with you. There is some really pretty stuff out there. But if I see other people acknowledging the concerns that I have with even worse examples that I personally could find, and there is no response from FDev, I'll just keep shouting. I'll just get louder and louder, you know? And that's why when I saw this latest example, I ended up making a letter. I hate to use the term open letter because all I'm trying to do is get my point across. So I wrote a little letter in Notepad, put it in a video, spoke the words, and checked out what the community thought of that. And there was lots of support for it. Of course, again, there's some people that say, dude, it's not all that bad. There's some people that now made me aware, you know, Arthur did speak about it a little bit. So take into consideration what you're about to hear is with the full assumption that there has been absolutely no word from FDev other than in one of the patch notes, a message stating, you know, there's more to come on this. Again, I'm getting louder and louder the less I hear. And in the end, I just want to keep unique planets that are worthy of exploration, and I'm fighting for that thing that I love. That's all it is.
I respect that totally. You want me to go ahead and play the video now?
Yeah, go right ahead.
All right.
Dear Dr. K. Ross, thank you, the Planetary Tech team, and the entirety of Frontier for all the incredible work you've done to give us landable planets during the release of Horizons. Because of your work, I've been able to do something I've always dreamt of: to reach for the stars and discover. One of my favorite aspects of Elite is that thing that is always waiting for me across the horizon: the next exploration trip. While playing the game normally and going through all the hoops of regular gameplay, I always know I have that one prospect to look forward to go out and explore the countless unique worlds and see what they have in store. When Horizons launched, there was a lot of work to do to get the planets looking as amazing as they do now. Because the tech was new, people were patient and it really did pay off. The planets are quite something to behold. You gave us incredible planets to look at from any point of view and from any distance. Their colors look natural and their features were visible from high in the sky. After picking out something that looked interesting, one would descend down and find more detail creeping into view as they got closer. Vast canyons with sharp ridges, random flow in the terrain, and you'd be guaranteed that you discovered something unique each time you looked down. You mentioned during a livestream, I quote, "For Horizons, that terrain is generated entirely mathematically. There was a lot of effort put into representing the kind of shapes a hill or canyon makes, just using maths." End of quote. And it works brilliantly. The canyons and other terrain features created with the Horizons tech can be truly breathtaking. You also mentioned, I quote, "To look forward to whatever comes next for Odyssey, I wanted a system that was robust enough to handle things without having to do another remake of any of the tech. That's why it's changed, and we have all that new detail." End of quote. I think this is where it has all gone wrong. I'll preface the coming writing by saying that this letter is a direct result of the radio silence on the matter. We're now 4 weeks into the release of the new Odyssey DLC. Evidence is mounting in relation to issues with the planetary tech generation, and we've received nothing more than one line during a patch note that reads, "More info is coming." With Horizons, people were patient because, again, the tech was new. That is not the case this time. I am not patient. In Elite, we've discovered less than 1% of the Milky Way. That is still an almost countless number of worlds that people have discovered, explored, and played around on. You and your team have created a new system from the ground up that quite literally erased those years and years of discovery. It's a bit like taking a photo book that's full of wonderful pictures and throwing them into the fire. The new system shows a lot of issues right now that are serious cause for concern. The forums, the YouTube videos, the friends I talk to, all agree in unison. The new tech is a downgrade. The new tech does not inspire the will to explore. The new tech is uglier, and the new tech is broken. I don't want to go into detail again in relation to all the issues previously discussed, but I will quickly summarize them. Planets look ugly from an altitude because terrain does not appear natural unless viewed from a low-angled sun. Terrain pops into existence bluntly as one descends. There is no smooth transitioning to help make this look natural. All terrain features are tiled across planets, repeating in patterns which mean that one side of the planet looks the same as the other side of the planet. Terrain features are no longer mathematical, unique, chaotic, and random, but instead come from a system of handmade assets that are reused across planets like stamps, meaning no planet is unique. On the Odyssey system you mentioned, I quote, "We have resources that represent the shapes and the types of features that we'd want to generate in the first place. Then we've got some stochastic sampling and blending to put those together." End of quote. It really shows. I've mentioned this already, that the new planetary tech system appears to be the absolute killer of exploration. If planets are not unique and beautiful, why would I go and look for unique new planets to discover? I'd like to finish this off with a quote from Cenk Seotome, because he said it better than I could. I quote, "Because obviously they're not manufacturing each of these worlds. It's a stellar forge, but it is not the stellar forge we know and love. We make the joke that the stellar forge is drunk sometimes, but there is something genuinely beautiful about the chaos and the madness of the things stellar forge could come up with. There was something wondrous about it. And now it's an exhausted intern with a box of stamps and a billion forms to fill out. And it just grabs a bunch of stamps and stamps them onto the paper because it just doesn't care. The wonder is gone. The magic is gone because Stellar Forge's soul was being crushed and ripped out of it. That's why it's all so depressing." End of quote. Dr. K. Ross, as a customer that paid for a fully fledged and completed DLC that was to improve and extend my game, I ask you, what happens next? Signed, Black Maze.
All right. So let me start off right away. I want to say, like I said, I'm reserving judgment on this until after, whatever, when they say end of June, when they say, hey, this is all whatever, this is resolved and this is now working as intended. And at that point I will decide, hey, are these problems still there? But they're definitely concerns now, and I completely understand being worried about it. I will say that I absolutely love and adore, all of us do here at Elite Week, Dr. K. Ross. If there's any issue of criticism to be leveled, at least on my part, it's aimed at the company. We'll never know behind the scenes, what decisions were made for what reasons, who was told to do what, who was given resources to do what. I truly believe that Dr. K wants nothing but the best for the work that she does, but she doesn't own the company. She works for somebody. So in the end, whatever criticisms I raise them and I level them at management. Or if you can level a criticism at a community manager, at the suits, that's fine, because that's that's the side that they're in. Their job is to handle that and to deal with that. But yeah, so that's my only point. But I will say, after having seen that video, I have legitimate concerns that when the bugs are resolved, there may still be lingering issues that are not bug related but are design related that worry me. So we'll have to see how it plays out. Does anybody have anything they want to comment on this? Go ahead, Black Maze.
I'll just say, of course, in response to your statement there, I totally get it and I respect it as well. Again, this spawns from the communication aspect, right? There's been so little. And when I started with a video and a forum post and another video and another forum post and the hundreds of replies and the no messages, I am all like, I think people sometimes underestimate how loud you need to be in order to keep people moving. Because if we don't make any noise, for example, we had lots of issues in alpha that if we didn't go loud on them, nothing would have happened. So that's the point where I'm coming from, right? So I went for I purposely went and called her out, if you want to call it that, specifically to try and spark some controversy. I'm trying to get people talking and fully respect that she is not in control of what happens, when it happens, what we communicate. I fully respect that. And again, it comes more from the point of trying to get people talking. And I think I surely succeeded there. It's good to see we have now some confirmation in the live stream from Arthur, despite it not being very specific. Again, yeah, let's wait and see, I suppose. I was shocked again. Can you imagine going out exploring and not finding planets that are unique? Like just going to a planet and knowing that that specific asset that's morphed with another asset might be found on a different planet, looking maybe a different texture, color, or whatever, but that canyon edge that you're looking at is not unique, but handmade. Damn.
Yeah. Boss Lady.
So this is one where I have to kind of be careful of how I say this, but from having information about how the new tech was, the different layers of it, and I think Dr. K definitely went into that on her live stream. I think the goal with this new tech was obviously to improve upon what we had, to make it better and to make it even more unique and awesome. And I think that with what Black Maze has highlighted, what the community has highlighted, I think that this is a big... I think it's something that Frontier is going to really be working on. I don't think this is something that they intended. From all of the information that I heard prior to the launch of Odyssey and everything prior to the launch of Alpha, this is definitely not what they intended with the planet generation. It was supposed to basically use the mathematical generation that we had in Horizons and then almost layer on the textures and the extra blending and all of the extra pieces on top of that already solid base, right? So I don't know where that's gone wrong, because obviously I'm not a game developer, but I do think that the intention is to create something that's improving upon and adding on top of the already awesomeness, not to create copy and paste stamps.
Are you saying you think that they went the route of going on top, or are you thinking that would have been better? Sorry.
So from the information that I had, that's what the plan was, to go on top of, like to add on. So basically, if you think of it like a layer cake, the base, the foundation was the Horizons planetary gen that's based on mathematical. And then on top of that was going to be all these other layers. So not as a replacement of the Horizons planet gen, but as extra. It's almost like planetary rendering added on top.
Let me throw out and first off, I'm a Marine. I'm an idiot. I don't know how any of this shit works, but let me just throw out a what if. What if they made a bunch of stamps of this whatever, right? That are sort of cookie cutters, but they're small and they go in different places. And as Boss Lady is just sort of suggesting, they're supposed to fit on top of the terrain of Horizons, such that when you add sort of a certain quantity to a noise level, you get variations on that go all different kinds of ways. But there's a bug that's causing the normal Horizon noise level, the normal Horizon sort of geometry of the landscape to be flat. And as a result, what you're seeing is, instead of adding, like, let's say the thing that they were adding, I'm just going to make it super simple. They were adding 5 to all sorts of things. But if you're going to add 5 to 2 and 5 to 100 and 5 to 3 million, you're going to get, 7, 105, 3 million and 5. But as a result of a bug that made the base landscape sort of be flat, you're getting 5, 5, and 5. And then people are going, hey, I see 5 everywhere. I don't know. I'm an idiot. Maybe that makes no sense at all. Black Maze?
Yeah, so just for the record, the Horizons planetary tech is gone in its entirety. That system is not used. And this is coming directly from Dr. Kairos, right? To quote her again, I wanted a system that was robust enough to handle things without having to do another remake of any of the tech. That's why it's changed. And we have all that detail. They have gone for a completely new system. And without having all the technical details, I understand that the Horizons system was primarily based around mathematical stuff that they had programmed in such a way that it would completely randomize stuff that looked like canyons. And their new system is based on a height map thing. Again, I don't know all the technical details, but I know it's not based on that math anymore. I do think as well, on the subject of those stamps, like if you had 1,000 stamps and you're going to rotate these and overlap them with other stamps and get them in together, I even think they do that with Star Citizen. You can get it to look good. And again, I trust that she and her team can do it. Absolutely. Again, though, they've not told us that what we have now is not what we're going to end up with. So again, now we have some confirmation from Arthur that it isn't the way it is supposed to be. That's good news. Again, let's hope for more.
Well, more than that, he says, in the end, if after the bugs are fixed, it still is a major problem for the community, then they will have to address whether or not to reopen it and to, take further action to adjust it. So that's also hopeful. And his last comment was that talk is cheap, and he knows that.